Hi guys, welcome to the Unpopular Opinion. I'm Kemi.
Claire.
Prim.
And we're real.
Raw.
And we're saying it all.
Did you say the thing?
You didn't say?
Say it, of course.
Just say it.
Okay, all right.
Child experiencing speech delay. If you're wondering what speech delay is it's basically when a child is not hitting their speech milestones by a particular age. The good news is that 70 to 80% of children self-resolve and eventually start talking your ear off. However, 20 to 30% of children don't. They will need help, and there is no way of you knowing where your child is going to fall. We have never seen a parent who regretted getting early intervention for their child. However, we've seen so many who have regretted not getting it.
Join the Blue Moon Early Intervention Program, a fun, play-based program designed to help children develop as they should. Worst case scenario is that your child goes to Blue Moon and has the best time of their life while also learning how to speak.
Call Blue Moon International School today and ask about our early intervention program. We can't wait to meet you and your precious little one.
Hi guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. Welcome to our show. My name is Nyamurungi and I'm the moderator today. I'm not so used to moderating, so now I don't know what to usually say. So today we have Dr. Tumusiime Nyamurungi with us, and if you don't follow her, please go and check out her account, Dr. T Nyamurungi, and subscribe to our channel, right?
I was going to say her link will also be.
Yeah, her link will also be below. Then I say subscribe to our channel if you've not subscribed. And thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for watching.
Also, shout out to Nzou Media Hub, as always. There, the set designers, the editors, the reason why we're now on podcast platforms, which we are, by the way.
That crisp sound that you hear. So, my God, I did last week's episode. It was like we were soothing, like, you know, those voices that are soothing. That's all in Nzou. So if you really need to start a podcast, this is your plan. If you want to start a YouTube channel, this is your plan. If you want to just shoot yourself like you're cute, get your clothes and come to Nzou. Come. And then
this episode is brought to you by Rwenzori Cocacola Beverages.
Hydrate. We're not 30. We need to hydrate.
Water.
No, you still need to hydrate. Don't be like us who started hydrating late.
Not wait to get here. So we're going to talk about a topic that might seem very sort of mainstream, very, you know, why are you telling us about this? We know everything that needs to be known about HIV. So I was like, no, we have to educate these people about HIV because it feels like we don't have the fear of HIV that we had back then as millennials, having seen our parents, our loved ones, aunties, uncles die to HIV, seeing that it swept homes. It swept villages, yes. Rakai, Masaka, Mbirizi, just slightly went to Mbara, like that corridor there. I know that those are some of the places that were highly wiped out, by HIV. And there's been like a recklessness to, you know, like this generation, because when we were growing up, there was a lot of media coverage. Government made sure that it teaches about HIV, it talks about HIV, which is something that is not as much, you know, as done lately.
It's not done at all.
Yeah, so we felt like, let us talk about it. It might seem like, you know, it's a boring topic, but we just need to do a quick reminder. So it's why we invited you over here to talk about, how do you feel about the HIV awareness that we have? Do you think that we are doing what needs to, you know, we are doing enough to sensitize the young people about HIV?
You know, the funny thing is, when I was doing my content, the first videos I did like fairly well, and they were just fair, because I began in like September of last year. Oh, it's actually been a year of doing content.
Oh, you've grown.
Yeah. So, but then when I was going to do the episode on HIV, I remember I didn't think about it much. Like I thought it was like, this is something people already know, they're tired, they've had it all. That was a video that like blew up the most. I think it was on which like the first video that went to like 1 million views. The following grew like I think like triple or quadruple because of those videos of HIV in particular. And I think that in as much as it's something where the awareness isn't being made like a lot vibrant, but it's still something that people are still thirsty for. And even those who pretend not to be thirsty for it actually need it the most. Because like I think people just like to be jokers sometimes, and you find some people saying things like, when for us, we no longer even want to know about HIV. I'm actually there's this thing that posted that girls are now more scared of getting pregnant than HIV. And I think people say those things until you actually have been hit with a diagnosis. Especially men. Especially men. I feel like the women that have diagnosed tend to take it a bit better. Like she's normally annoyed with the spouse or whatever. But normally take it better. I find that the men tend not to do well at all. And the problem is that if he's not doing well, it means he's going to take it home, infect the wife. The wife is going to then get pregnant, and the child will also be infected. So it's that type of thing. I think the awareness still needs to. I think these things are still really good, especially with content creators, because this is literally the way messages are being passed on now.
That's true.
Yeah, I think so.
And I feel like when you say that sometimes the gentlemen don't take it well, it's very funny to see that I'm really quite very in touch when it comes to HIV. For me, it's something very close to home. Like I'm very passionate about the fight against HIV, and I've seen the statistics last year on World AIDS Day, and women definitely there's more infections among women than men. What do you think has led to that?
There's that thing which they talk about. First of all, the promiscuity of how you find, because this particular thing just annoys me so much, because I feel like people are just indisciplined and they're just moving forward with indiscipline and carelessness, and you just harm people. First of all, in terms of one, this is a society which tends to have patriarchal, how do you call them? Like patriarchal tendencies in terms of you almost say you give an okay to men too. You can go around and infect people. You can go around and make people like not infect, but you can go around and sleep around. It's okay. Actually, the funny thing is when you find like a man and he has like one woman and he's faithful to one woman, they begin saying this woman bewitched him, or like.
Oh, they're lucky.
Like
oh, he's a
exactly.
Oh, he's a you know.
Yeah, like such things. And the problem is now he's going to be one man and he's going to move the virus around to multiple women. Women who know that he has a partner, or women who don't know. But regardless, it's just that is a thing. So for me, that is what I've attributed it to the most. And
I actually think it's more in married people
a lot
than in single people, because when single people are new meeting someone that is they've never known, the chances of protecting yourself are quite high. And even if you don't protect yourself during the moment, a lot of them know to go and get drugged. You get. However, as a wife, I am not protecting myself against my husband. And as my husband is also not protecting himself against me, because we are supposed to
be faithful.
Yes. And when we got married, there was nothing. If now I don't expect to pick up him to pick up anything, me to pick up anything. But because it's completely allowed in society that people are going to cheat, and for some reason, but we trust our men. People trust our men. Our men trust us. You get, and I think that's where now the problem is, because we are not protecting each other or ourselves because of that perceived trust that's supposed to be between a couple that's either married or long term. So that cheating, although it's been normalized so much.
I hate that it has been normalized.
The fact that it has been normalized so much, I think has led to a huge, because then even me, you're not going to know you got HIV from the other chick. You get. So then you bring it to me, I get pregnant. You get. Then I don't know that I have it, which means I will not do the necessary Okay, yes, doctors basically should check.
They definitely do
They
check, but then sometimes you may find, first of all, you know that pregnancy compromises your immune system.
Yes.
Which means that if your immune system has been compromised by pregnancy, it means the chances of you getting into AIDS are much faster. Yeah, I remember there was a couple, and that was the beginning times, I think in the 1980s, when HIV hadn't yet been like known very much. So I think one of the doctors, it was one of those things that move around, and one of the doctors was like, he probably got infected through like a patient. But at that time, the sensitization was like people didn't know much. It's like how COVID, before it became a pandemic, people were just feeling like they get a cough and then they don't get what's happening. So this guy went and he got infected and he didn't know. And for him, he's moving around with the virus. And so he got a wife who, the most painful part was she was like a virgin girl from her family. He's the only man she's ever known. And now she also gets infected. Now both of them don't even know. And then when she gets pregnant, she begins getting sick continually, day in, day. You're getting things you don't understand. And remember, you're married to a doctor. So also he's like, I don't get what's happening, you get. But then, so when they went to find out eventually now they got to know she was actually infected.
But it was already too late.
Yeah, and now she died.
The baby died.
The baby died. The man was depressed. Her family almost wanted to like kill him because like you've practically killed our child. But also he doesn't know. So for him, it's something which was just an unfortunate situation that happened. But I think it's very selfish and extremely barbaric for people to normalize infidelity, because it's just, you guys, I feel like sex is just sex. Like it's going to be
really
5-10 minutes.
Big.
It's not that deep.
It really is.
Honestly.
PDD.
And it's contemporary.
Yeah. Investment in the sexual industry.
It's a bit too much.
Yeah,
it's a bit too much.
And there's a nice fat bank account to show for it.
Yeah, it's not just 5-10 minutes.
Honestly,
To him.
Because
it's too
I
much.
also find that the risk people take for that one action.
Yeah.
And you know how come someone says she's boring?
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes. Be bored. It's okay. Would you rather spend 5 minutes being bored, or would you rather go and get an HIV and then have to take medication for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
You know, or potentially even die. Like the way we have really, and I think the thing that has made a lot of us, especially younger, because for us by the time, yes, we knew about it then, but we didn't see it as much as our parents saw it.
Yeah.
So I have never seen someone sick of HIV. I've never.
I mean, our generation, so
We didn't see.
Oh, I have.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
No,
So
I think
some
you've
people,
seen
some
people
of us
having-
have.
I have.
Very
I
long
have
time ago.
never.
And we saw that bad one. I saw the bad one.
I have never.
I think
So,
you've seen
but and a lot
HIV,
of us,
but
I've
not
seen,
AIDS.
I know people who have HIV. I know
but
people,
not
and
AIDS.
they are healthy. You
Yeah,
can never
you
tell.
can never know.
You can never ever tell people who are born with HIV as well. They are our age or older or a little younger, and they look very okay.
Yeah.
You get. But then the problem now is the fact that people think that HIV now is no longer a problem because there are those pre-medications and there are the post-medications, post-exposure and pre-exposure. You know, so people have kind of relaxed.
We sort of also abuse those.
Yes.
I wish they were actually taking them up as they should. I wish they actually were. Because now, like, actually recently, imagine, so there's the pre-exposure prophylaxis, then there's the post-exposure prophylaxis. So the pre-exposure is for people who are anticipating that you, so for example, like how if you're like discordant couples or you are sex workers or basically people who you know I could get infected. But the thing with PrEP, when you're taking it, you take it like how you take the ART or the ARVs, meaning you're going to take it for as long as you know that you're anticipating exposure. So probably if you're married, it's going to be for life, right? So you're going to keep taking it for as long as you know that you're going to do. But the fun fact is, and I was like, this is so nice, because I thought about having this conversation, this episode. Then I finally saw a video of, there's the National PrEP coordinator, is called Dr. Kadama. He finally had the conversation about it because some of these things were under study. So they weren't really being discussed a lot. But so when he did have the conversation, I was like, most likely meaning it's actually now out there, because there has been the oral PrEP, which people take. You take it daily, right? But then there's other methods that have now come. There's like the ring, that you can take. So you insert a ring, a vaginal ring, up into the vagina, and that one takes like 1 month. So it's like a rubber.
Every month.
Yeah, so you put it in. It has a drug called
So you put the IUD.
It's like a rubber.
Like wait.
You put
I just want to understand why we're not discovering these things for men. Why aren't we tying it on the penis?
No.
Balls. Because so I have the IUD and they are carrying it inside. Then
now you have the rubber.
Put a ring.
Okay.
But the good thing is, so there have been stipulated studies where they were actually hoping. This is future things, and I think there was some documentation that was hoping that the rings are going to be now reinforced with, they have the antiviral effect, but also going to be reinforced with the contraceptive and the antibacterial, so that it can do all of them.
Yeah.
But that's just stipulation for probably the future is brighter for us. But now the ring is inserted up into the vagina. It's because basically of how the mucosa of the female's things can just take up drugs and everything. And so then it's getting in, it's every month you change it and you remove it. So that one I think is very convenient for like sex workers, you know, because now you have the power to protect yourself. Yeah. Then also there's the injection. So I think also there's an injection as well. I think it's what they're calling kabla. I think those things when they are a bit much more available. But I was like, I guess I can actually share this information because the head of the national prep shared it as well. Because some of these things you don't want to really share them with the public.
They are really public.
Because people will begin asking you for them and you're like, where? But then I think for now they put them in, they began actually distributing them in 7 hospitals or 7 districts around the country. I think there is like Mbara and there's like a number, there are 7. Actually beginning this September. We're in September, right?
Yeah. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
I'm glad we...
Yeah. That's what I actually was. That was those seven. And so it's beginning to move around and people are able to get access.
And how long is the injection?
The injection, the first 2 months, you get it once every month. For 2 months, the heart is begin getting it every 2 months. Some will just say every 2 months, but it's basically around there. And then the other one is every 1 month.
Self-inject, or you have to go to the...
You have to go to hospital. Obviously, you have to definitely.
I mean, there are some injections that are self-inject.
Yeah, normally the self-injection, I think, are normally like the subcutaneous ones, or like the small ones, like for like for diabetes, or like that.
Okay, can I ask you a question? I want to ask. So, first of all, I don't know if many people know about the PEP. You know, post-exposure or pre-exposure.
I think
can
it's
you
popular.
Explain what these things do? Because what we do have a very promiscuous society these days, even girls. It's no longer just boys.
Everyone.
The people are just the sexual network is
that one never goes off.
And I feel like someone, you know, personally, if you ask me anything about these things, I have no clue.
The sexual network is most
I just know there's that. Where do you get it? How do you get it? How much is it? You get, like, if I am planning on becoming promiscuous, or if I am, because the truth is, I don't know about this thing. I've had PEP. I think I learned about it like a year ago. I didn't know that. Before that, I didn't know. I didn't know. You get it. Fortunately, I'm not promiscuous at all. So I've never had the need for it. But if I do find myself in a
compromising situation, let's first of all, you're not going to find yourself in a compromising situation, but you're going to be more knowledgeable to tell people, right? So for PEP or post-exposure prophylaxis, it's supposed to be taken within 72 hours or 3 days. So we normally use hours because when you said days, people can tend to be, because if I say, for example, that 3 days, but for you had sex at like 6 p.m. It means for you, you're going to count a day as like starting tomorrow, right? So yet
because we're so literary now.
Exactly. It's like pregnancy, weeks and months. The months don't adapt, so it makes more sense in weeks. So if you say from 6 p.m., if you had sex today at 6 p.m., it means the window you have is 6 p.m. today, then tomorrow is what? Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
Tomorrow is Wednesday.
Wednesday, sorry.
Wednesday, 6 p.m. Then Thursday, 6 p.m. Then Friday, 6 p.m. So that is where your cutoff is going to be 72 hours. However, the closer, the better. Why? Because when viruses, unlike bacteria, when viruses infect you, it's an infection for life, right? So when the HIV is getting into your cells, it has a point whereby it does something called integration. Integration is a permanent stage. It's where now it integrates into your DNA. So it becomes a part of you. That is why it's not possible to cure.
Yeah.
Because if you try to cure, I'll have to kill your cells as well, your own cells.
Yeah.
You get? So that point whereby, because the virus it has, I think that those things I did I explained them in the video that I did that time. But basically it is, the virus has steps. It has to come, make contact, make its way into a cell. When it makes its way into a cell, then it gets in, opens up itself, degrades itself, then the proteins then come out, then the DNA comes out. Now the problem is now that point where the DNA comes and integrates with your DNA. The moment it integrates, now it becomes a part of you. So that is the window that we use those 72 hours for before you've gotten infected. Because anything after that, it will not be done. So now you have to now just use the ARVs to prevent the infection from. It's the same reason why things like flu, hepatitis, we don't have medication for them. We just suppress and the as your body then picks up. So the PEP, it's within 72 hours and then you take it for 28 days. So some people will say a month, but the exact time is 28 days. So after those 28 days, then you get retested. So depending on the tests that are, there are different tests that are available, but the cheaper it is, the more frequently you have to do it.
So the cheaper the PEP is.
No, the cheaper the test is.
Okay.
So for example, there's that common one in hospitals called the rapid test. That one you have to retest and confirm in 3 months. The problem is in 3 months, the anxiety is like killing you.
Obviously, you have died from another anxiety.
Yeah.
The anxiety kills too.
Yeah.
And quite a lot faster than HIV.
Yeah, the anxiety. Yeah. So there's like the DNA PCR, remember like the DNA PCR of COVID, how it was like a bit pricey, but it was like one of those tests. It's like the same thing. Viruses tend to be, they're just nasty, honestly. So it's the same thing. So the DNA PCR is a bit more pricey, but it helps to give you a confirmatory thing and in a shorter period of time. So at least you are aware of that. But the most important thing is you get to a hospital and then you are guided. So the moment you know that you've been exposed, those 72 hours are very important to prevent pregnancy, to prevent HIV, because other things you will deal with them. STIs you will handle, whether it's a gonorrhea or whatever. But
those you do is scratch yourself in public,
jump
around,
and have painful pee.
around,
Very painful pee. But otherwise, at least those 72 hours you prevent pregnancy and HIV.
Out of worry.
Yeah.
So now that for us we don't have
Is there a chance when you take it and it does not work?
If you've taken it properly. If you've taken it properly,
100%.
chance, I won't say 100% because
like
some people have
99%.
issues. Yeah, let's give it a good,
99.
maybe around there. So if you've taken it on time and you've taken it well, remember you don't skip. But the good thing, the PEP that's there right now is better. There was a component of the drug which used to cause hallucinations.
That's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
The side effects were terrible because
Yeah.
I know 2 people close to me that took it. And by now, for example, now I'd be screaming, "Whoa!"
They would hallucinate badly, but then they changed it and gave it a better one, which now you take well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
How about? I was going to ask about like non-detectable, because some people have HIV that's not detectable, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? I feel like for dating, I actually saw a video where people were talking about, it was like a social experiment to understand how much people know about HIV, and so they asked them, would you date someone like with non-detectable HIV?
Yeah.
Of course, generally the first thing in people's minds would be was no,
Yeah.
but because they didn't have information.
Yeah.
So what like do we need to know about people who have like non-detectable HIV, you know, for the dating streets?
There's that thing that phenomenon we call U equals U, so undetectable equals untransmittable. So it simply means that when you're someone who's infected with HIV, you take your drugs properly enough, you suppress your viral load. So most times when we look at people's viral load, like when you're looking at the results, if the viral load, we look at it in terms of copies. You have 200 copies, 1,000 copies, like it depends on how many viruses. So if someone's suppressed, it will show undetectable. In terms of someone who's undetectable, transmitting are very small. Again, I don't say non-existent, but I say really small. So at least here you can know that if they're a couple, they can actually have a safe sex life. The problem is, number one, you do not know. Anything can happen, the immune system is compromised, the viruses come back up. You get what I mean? That is why you can't just completely say, now me, I'm going to go and have fun. No, because the thing is, the virus is there, but you've suppressed it because you're taking your medication well, you're taking good care of yourself, you're good with your feeding, your exercise, so you're on point. But if something happens and it makes your immune system compromised, even things like cancer, diabetes, you're not eating better, they come, they're now going to, then the virus comes back up, then you're able to transmit it again.
And what about if I have HIV?
Yeah.
and it's undetectable,
Yeah.
and I am careless.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, the people who have HIV are not really bothered. Many people are not bothered about protecting other people. You get? And so that's now where the danger is. But can I, if I have HIV right now and I sleep with someone who has, mine is undetectable and his is detectable, can he reinfect me with new virus?
Yes.
Can he, you get, is it now null and void? Am I?
Okay, let's cancel each other out.
Cancel. But yo, this person.
Cancel each other out.
Cancel, yeah.
Because they're the same.
Girl math and no, HIV math. This is
HIV math is wild.
Best occupied.
Yeah, it's because the people who have, there's this thing, one of the other reasons as to why it's very difficult to treat HIV is because of mutations.
Yeah.
So the viruses mutate a lot. There are also people who have viruses that are resistant. Say, for example, someone has been taking the medication, but they've been taking it poorly. So someone has been poorly adherent to their medication.
So their virus has become resistant.
So now you find that, meaning they have to come from first line, they put them on second line. Yeah. Second line, you go to third line. So the one thing about, for example, let me give an example, like in antibiotics, like you get like a flu, you take an antibiotic. You're taking medications without a prescription. It means that the thing about resistance is it's not just you that's resistant. It means that if you infect you with a resistant bug, it means also you've gotten a resistant bug.
So she's infected a new,
yeah,
regardless
a
of
resistant one.
Her dormant.
Yeah. Same thing with antimicrobial resistance. It's the same thing whereby if you're careless with how you take medications, then let me say you get an infection into something like a UTI. Yeah. But your UTI is like resistant and takes like, you need like very strong antibiotics. It means, God forbid, your child gets infected from you, they're going to also have a similar
and they're
thing.
going to need much higher
more. And there's some people who you find it's even a higher dose. It's a different drugs. There's some drugs which, you see, like in pharmacies, there's some drugs you have access to, like amoxicillin and what. There's some drugs you don't have access. There's some drugs where it's only the doctor who has to sign it, because they are literally like on top tier. Yeah. So it means that if now you can no longer take these ones, it means that now you're going for the other ones. The problem is above that there is
nothing.
My mom told me that there's some HIV that will resist, like, say, the first line of drugs, and the second, and third. You just have to start on the third, and literally make sure you live your life so carefully that you are able to remain on that third line.
No, I feel like this is the information we need. Yeah. When we are being given like the PEP and all that preventative, because there's so many people with HIV thinking I already have it. Yeah. I don't need to protect myself. You get, or but I don't know. You've just met this man. You've just met this woman. Even if you both have HIV, you have no idea how they are taking their medication. If they are taking it properly, how resistant they are, how you get. You have no idea. Which is why safe sex now in a relationship where it's something we need to bring back. It's a conversation that is now very old-fashioned. And when people like us say these things, they say either we're old-fashioned or we are judging people who have sex. We're not judging you. We're trying to help you stay safe.
Yeah, stay alive. Yeah. Abstain. Be faithful, use condoms. Like those principles they still hold the most water. You see, the reason as to why now we have PrEP and PEP is because the ABC people have failed to adhere to them. So if you're not adhering to them, how much more are we going? Because we're like, there is still anticipation for things like the vaccine, there's anticipation for things like the cure, but when do you know this?
This has already been almost 40 years.
And I remember how difficult
40 years and they still know the virus.
I remember during the pandemic, that was a very hard time to have HIV because people had to go and refill their drugs, and you're not allowed to drive. You're not allowed to, taxis were not working. I know that after that, because I know that government was caught unawares with the HIV, with the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. But after that, you can tell that they adapted. Now we are going to get people health centers to start dropping them. And actually, like later is when I thought to myself, like, I wish this is one of the volunteering I had, some of the volunteering work I had done. But I saw that people had to move from St. Nansana because, because of the stigma, a lot of people were not taking drugs from around their home. I don't know if you know that. You'd go to a health center very far from you. Yeah. That's where they put your drugs. So there's a time I was at a health center and someone had walked from Nansana all the way to a different place. And she was saying, I left at 5 a.m. to come to pick drugs. And remember, this was, I think, per 3 months. I think, yeah, because you take enough, they give you for three months. So they had to walk. So you might, it's chill and it's easy, like, oh yeah, we have access to drugs when you actually have access. Yeah. But then there will be something that can happen that cuts off that reduces the access. Yes. And I know that government has really tried so much with the fight against HIV, but I also remember a time in around, I think 14, 13 thereabout, there was also like a shortage of drugs. There are times you're actually hit by a shortage of the ARVs. Like there's a time when there's like a shortage. So now you're living on like that on the edge, right? And as much as yes, they are trying to provide, as much as yes, it's a priority, but living on the edge like that. So another thing that I wanted us to talk about that I would really, really want you to delve into so badly is discordant couples. And for people, because there's a time one of my followers was asking me, our friend met a guy that really likes her, he treats her well, blah, 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 but he told her he has HIV. And when I shared that, she's like, oh, ask your followers. When I shared it, I realized that a lot of people have information about HIV, which actually in my audience, which made me happy, that okay, people are doing their research, people have information, we are all getting educated about it, but I just want people to have like an opinion of a doctor.
I think, first of all, discordant couples. We all know what discordancy means.
Please explain. Explain.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just couples that have been living.
Sown discord? Have they sown discord among one another?
Actually, they're having a discordance, or they're in discord. So basically, one couple is negative, another couple is positive. Couples, and they've been actively having sex, and one of the couples is actually one of the pair. So one of them is negative, one is positive. So there was actually there was a study that was done. I think it was in 2013, and they were trying to assess basically these discordant couples in particular, and they got. This is a thing which made me so which intrigued me so much. Out of 35, I think there were 35 couples. There were 35 couples. Out of them, 23 of the couple, whatever, the men were positive, right? And then 6 of the females were positive. So like in terms of discordance, meaning if 23 of the men are positive, their women are negative, then 6 of the women are positive, the men are negative, right? And out of those 35, even those ones, those 20, there were 29 men. No, actually, because 29 plus 6, that's 35. So 29 men were positive, and then 6 women were positive, right? Out of the 29 men that were positive, 23 had attained it from, extramarital affairs. And out of the 6 women that were positive, 2 had attained from extramarital affairs. Now, if you're saying that 29 men in discordant relationships, 23 of these ones, and this is just a study where they're accepting 35 couples, 23 of them have actually gotten it.
It's like 99%.
Yeah, they've gotten from extramarital affairs. It's so huge. And then there was, I think, one for like transfusion. Those are very rare. Honestly, transfusion, so rare. Surgery was like 1, then I think 2 were like unknown. But by the time I'm telling you that 23 out of 29 were from extramarital affairs.
That's a huge percentage.
And that is 2013.
What if you put 49 million Ugandans?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You mean about 35 million are...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that simply shows you, and right now, the sexual network is much larger.
Jesus Christ.
No, but do you know, you see how men come here and even women actually, and you are so proud of your promiscuity, of the fact that you cheat and it's in your DNA. No, what's in your DNA is HIV. Listen, it's so annoying.
It is
so annoying.
We should be angry, actually.
We should be you're admitting to. You have HIV in your DNA. Not cheating. That is not the problem.
Yeah, where is your anger from?
No, but it's so annoying.
I
should be angry.
I've heard of stories of women whose men have and they have found out they have HIV, women who have died. You get, I know, you get, and this hits close because I know a relative who she died even before her husband. The husband was taking ARVs.
Oh yeah, sometimes
in the 90s,
tell you they're taking drugs.
Someone that's so close to me, he was taking drugs. He did not take tell his wife. His wife has never slept around. So they, for years, they are looking for a while. I don't know. I was young. I was young. So for years, she is getting sick. The doctors are looking for what is it. Until they finally, someone says, maybe let's test for HIV. She's like, how? You guys,
it's true.
You guys, this woman died.
Yeah, it always happens like that.
Her husband died like 5 years after her. But the man buried his woman. Isn't that murder?
It's
murder.
And I think actually there is
nonsense.
I think now there's actually a law
against it. It's nonsense. By the way, you're normalizing
it's very painful,
murder.
Especially when you've seen someone who's close. Because me all the time, and that's the thing I was saying, the reason as to why when you're seeing those stats are much higher in the females having them, all the time when you're going to make a diagnosis, like I said, you're going to see, like, it's not 1, 2, not 3, not 4, it's like many. The men don't take it well. And you come around saying that you're the one who is like the stronger one or what, but the most cowardice is actually there. And you find someone coming and you're like, okay, all these things have been put aside. Let me say number one. So what happened? So the person first comes and they're like, quit carrying me, I'm a bad man, what? You're like, homeboy, okay.
Bad man, that's what
you're now. No, you're like, homeboy, first explain to me. Okay, when was the last time? Maybe you can come saying something like, maybe I had like a burning sensation. Okay, you had a burning sensation, no problem. When did you last have sex? I had sex like last week. Okay, was it with you? Are you married? Yeah. Was it with your wife? That's where now problems come. And it's a no. Okay, you not with your wife. Okay. Do you know the person's status? No.
Of course not.
What do you mean, financial?
I don't know the status. They're like, okay, fine. Have you started on did you take medication? Like, yeah, I took the medicine. Okay. When you took the medication, did you take it well? Now, at this point, the person is actually really scared. He's like, I took it well. Okay, you took it well. Did you get retested? No. I don't have the guts to get retested, right? Okay, like, all right.
Where were these
guts?
Yeah, all these things are there.
Entering people's vagina.
No, seriously, like, okay, all these things are there. Now, final question. Did you tell your wife?
Wife who?
Probably not.
Did you tell your wife? And it's no. Have you been sleeping with your wife?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
like, isn't that like
This
for you
kind
are
of
getting
men need to be
enough
hung.
susu? Why are you getting
Electric
susu
chair.
outside and also coming and
You
getting
deserve
from
an
this
electric
world?
But yeah,
chair.
I think there's actually a law against it now. When you infect someone, well, you know,
Knowingly.
it's actually now a criminal offense.
No, but it's not even no, because he doesn't know his status, because he doesn't have the courage. He's a coward.
retested.
Yeah.
But if you know you're sleeping with other women, why are you coming and sleeping with me?
Yeah.
Speak it.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because
You guys, I'm so upset because it's something that really, really had affected my family.
Yeah.
You
It's
get,
true.
I was young, yes, but I remember
Yeah.
the pain that thing caused.
It's true.
Yeah.
You get,
And
and
they leave
people,
behind
just that
children.
these are not the stories that make it on fancy YouTube channels,
Yeah.
because that's where everyone's
we don't
attention
talk about
is.
it.
No one is talking about it, but it's happening.
Mm.
I know someone who works in an HIV clinic and came and told me this person was a religious leader. His wife trusted him 100% because he's a religious leader. Church, hallelujah. You guys, it's really, men are really, really, really doing this world that deserve it. It's annoying. Stop with your
But also,
what's
you
it
guys,
called?
we also have
We are-
women. We also have
Yes,
women
I get
that
it.
are doing this.
Women are doing it,
fewer,
yes.
but they are
women.
there.
Women are
Because
doing
men
it.
are
They are
not sleeping
fewer.
with anyone else.
For me,
they're sleeping with.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I get it. I get it. By the way, it's just that when a woman sleeps around, it's nothing to be. Everyone, it's kind of hidden.
Yeah. They're
You cannot
judging
come
you.
around and say that's how women are.
Yeah.
How? You get? But men are out here being proud of their HIV DNA.
No, but I think honestly speaking, the solution is generally like people should genuinely just do better. Like honestly speaking, I think some things are being normalized, but people need to genuinely do better. I think the men, you really need to do better, and females as well, because most of the women you find will say things like, I'm doing it because my husband also did it, or, you know, men are trash, or you know what, but you see at the end of the day, you're infecting yourself, you're infecting literally a generation that's going to come out of you. You get what I mean? And I think it's very, very unfortunate, and these things should not be made normal, because they are not normal.
So I want to ask about discordant couples. Are there chances that we can be married for, say, 20, 30 years and I've not picked up the disease?
Yeah, it is. So, so when you're having that, so actually now, most times the discordance, I think that's now, referring back to that study, it was done over a period of couples who are having, so there was a way you would gauge the term in terms of the sex quantity. So either you're having average sex or below average or above average. So the average was like 1 to 3 times a week. Above average was like more than 3 times a week. Below was like less than 1 time a week, right?
Days in a year.
And then this was being assessed for over 1.5 years, right? So over 1.5 years, it means that you're having sex actively for that period of time. And some people actually have a mutation. So when the virus is entering your body, it needs like things we call receptors or hooks, whereby it hooks and it attaches. So some people just have a mutation on those hooks. So the virus, when it comes, instead of doing this and then penetrates inside, it just keeps this until it completely dies off, and it doesn't. So some people actually do have that mutation. Or some people are asking, why don't they create for us drugs that will cause mutation? It's because these are actually cells that you need in your body to fight off any other infection. So you can't just say you're going to mutate everybody like that. So yeah.
Okay. I just want to wrap up by like, I'd just like you to maybe talk about like mental health when it comes to like HIV. How, like, I know that people are not taking it well. Like no one would take such news well. But what are some of the measures in place that have been, you know, put in place by you guys, our heroes?
No, but first of all, when someone is going to have, I want people to know that HIV, it's not, you shouldn't normalize having HIV. But when you have HIV, there is a solution. Like, first of all, know that. It begins before anything is done. That's why before you get tested or before your results are given to you, there is counseling. So that someone tries to bring your mind slowly into it. Although someone can't just come to, and maybe how someone says, oh, you have malaria. Someone's going to come and say, oh, you have HIV. It's different, right? So that is number one. And then even when you do, you have people that keep following you up. I think it's important for people, especially, to know that when you do have HIV, the stigma, first of all, just is very unfortunate, because people are walking around with these things. Like people you just don't know who the person is, but people are walking around with them. If you know that you're positive, that is number one. That's a good thing, because there's so many people who are actually undiagnosed. You get what I mean? By the time someone is being diagnosed, they're having AIDS. If you've been discovered early, it means you start on your treatment early, gets suppressed. And then now the lady you're talking about in your stories who actually say the man disclosed, for me, I think that's a very green flag. I think that's a very green flag, because if he tells it, means he's actually caring and he actually is a responsible human being. That means he's going to tell you, you know what, I am sick, so that you now make a conscious decision. When you do make that conscious decision and you say, you know what, okay, I am going to go through with this human being, because HIV doesn't mean death. It just simply means I have a virus which is there
that
for
I
life,
need to
right?
suppress.
So if it's there for life, it means go to the hospital and then get it taken. Then you, as a couple, before you now begin having sex, go to the hospital. There's this thing I actually want to now start doing a proper, how do you call it? Like, I want to now become more intentional, because I think the time when I released the video about like predating tests and whatnot, I think most people began, like, the questions were so many. I was like, I don't even know how to address. I don't know how to direct. So I was like, now I'm going to create a certain way in which I actually do like deal with these human beings directly. Because for me, I think it's very important that before a couple, people always talk about premarital testing. I think it's supposed to be predating.
Because what is premarital?
Feelings are all over the place. When you go to a church, at the time I was going to be like a bridesmaid, and I was like getting the bride to the church. Then they ask you for HIV, Hep B, sickle cell, right? Why am I finding these things out when I'm going to walk down the aisle? You understand? But if you say, there's this thing I always like saying, that if you've met someone today you've gone for your first date. Go and eat your food, enjoy yourself. If you like this person, you're planning on going for a second date, it means already there's something that's building. Be like, let's begin from a hospital. Let's begin from this person. No. Yeah.
How many people am I going to take to hospital? Like, imagine you as my doctor today, you see me, here I am with Frank. Here I am with Frank. Then next month, no problem. Tom and I are back.
It means you're continually responsible for yourself.
I'm going to
being
be
responsible.
No, but you do.
No, but you
Let's
do.
stop creating awareness. We are too aware now.
No, but you see, when you do this, it means that when you now decide to take a step with a human being, you actually, this is a person that you could actually live your life with safely. HIV is just one of the possible problems. This is just through. Now, there's also hepatitis. It's also a virus which doesn't cure. And hepatitis, even just you kissing, you're going to get it, right? Then there's also things like sickle cell. Sickle cells breaks up families. It breaks families. No, trying is a small word. Sickle cell is lethal. It's a threat to marriages, a threat to wealth, a threat to property, a threat to everything.
Because that is the only important thing.
Yeah. Everything.
And it's incurable. You can't help.
It just simply will get worse. Do you understand? And I have seen like couples whereby you find this couple never knew, and you find she has like 4 children with sickle cell. Do you know what that means? It means you live in the hospital. Basically, just buy an apartment and just get yourself to live inside the hospital. Now imagine that times 4. Do you understand? Most of the time you'll find these women come to a hospital, she's alone. Because the husband is like, me, I can't deal with this. You understand? And the mother is a mother. No, most of that, honestly speaking, most of the time. I think the ones I've seen are like, I think I've hardly seen, like in a sickle cell clinic, it's so rare that you find the fathers there. So rare. It's so rare. Yet sickle cell takes 2 to tango. Do you understand? Now,
and sometimes it might even be you.
No, it is definite. No, you need to both be carrying it. So now, if you're having these types of things, if you say you're going to do a predating assessment, these are the things you're going to prevent. Because you'll be like, okay, now, this particular part, I know. This one, I don't. I've seen couples, I've had a patient who is actually a sickler and the husband is normal. So they made sure to test and see. And the lady had sickle cell disease. And they made sure that the husband was a normal human being. So if he's normal, it means that all your babies are going to be carriers. Do you understand?
They're not going to be.
They're not going to be pure sicklers. But the woman will struggle in her pregnancies to a point of death. Do you understand? So these are things you need to be. Now, if you try it and now you say you're going to, as a sickler, you also get another sickler. Like, what are you doing?
But okay.
And that's the thing, before it gets to love.
Yeah.
But how many these days instead of getting to know, talking stage, you're checking.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Why not?
You do
but
actually do.
Because a lot of people have gotten themselves in situations that they might have avoided. They could have avoided.
I actually do want to be very proactive about that. I want to create a platform whereby people, you may not necessarily go to hospital, but we can do it virtually. And you come here, like we do a virtual meeting, and then we have like a discussion, and we direct you. You know the tests you need to do, what you need to do this and this, and so you also don't have to always be in a hospital. Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate you joining us every single week, and thank you, Dr. Nyamurungi, for joining us. It was awesome. She has an awesome podcast. Very, like, you will learn things, and you learn them in like an interesting. Do you get it? You won't be like, everything is so horrible, but it's actually really, really nice. So we'll leave her links in the description so you can learn a little bit more about what she does, and follow us on Instagram, follow us on over TikTok, but also subscribe, because come on, like where we have reached up. Until next time.
Bye.